listening to Planet Vero Radio. I am Cindy Schwartz, and we are talking today about different aspects of medical care from the patient's perspective. And on the phone, I have Beth, and she was a former medical patient, probably a current medical patient too, like a lot of us, and she just has some insight. It's not medical advice, it's just her patient advice of things that she's learned. And I want to talk about a couple of things that I've perhaps learned that you do going down the avenue of medical care, and maybe you didn't know that you could ask that, and maybe you didn't know that there was a different way to go about certain things because, you know, we trust our doctors, we listen to our doctors, but sometimes maybe it's not the thing that we think is the best for us. It's going to work the best. So let's talk to Beth and we'll see what she has to say. And today the topic kind of is going to be catheterization. So everybody's kind of scared about that. Maybe they don't know about what catheters are when they go into a medical or surgical procedure or other procedures, and kind of find out what Beth found out. And maybe I'll say a couple of things about what I know. Again, it's not medical advice. It's just patient advice, one patient talking to another. And perhaps that's how things maybe get changed and maybe get moved forward. So it's easier on the patient. So Beth, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Cindy?
I'm doing really well, and I'm glad to talk with you because this is kind of a subject that's getting near and dear to my heart about different things that I've learned on my own and different things that I've learned about people that have gone through procedures. And so many thousands of people out there writing to a certain organization called Medical Patient Modesty, which is headed by Misty Roberts. She started it. It's a 501c3 organization. And I've gotten in touch with her, and I know you have, Beth, about different things that have bothered us and, you know, that we've seen happen and happen to us and to other people. So we kind of want to talk about that and get the word out and maybe help other people. So today we're going to talk a little bit. We have about 6-8 minutes or so, talk about catheterization. And what have you learned about, Beth? What have you had happen to you that you think maybe you can tell people that hopefully it won't happen to them?
Okay. I've had two separate instances of bad things happening involving catheters. The first one was I was in my 20s, and I'd been in a car accident. I was in a coma for a few weeks, and as part of the what they call bladder training, is that they would catheterize every 2 hours.
Okay.
And that was all through the day and the night. And they evidently were using too big of a catheter on me.
Okay.
And it hurt every time. By hurt, I mean I've had a compound fracture in my leg, and when the bone sticking through the skin, that did not hurt as bad.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep very well because I was aching and worrying about the next time. So.
Now, did they tell you, Beth, not to interrupt you, did they tell you that they were going to do this catheter? Did they give you any options to have a size or explain any of that to you?
There was no options. Okay,
so it was just that was the way they were going to do it.
And just telling them no didn't work. What I have learned since then is to make your no really stick. You've got to either have it in writing, or you have to have probably two witnesses to it that do not work for the hospital.
Okay. So have someone there with you that can also stand up for you, not be there alone.
That's a good way to do it.
Okay.
And I mentioned having a compound fracture and and comparing the pain to it, and I had that happen to me, and I went in the hospital, and I wrote on the paperwork that I do not consent to a catheter on the general consent form.
Correct.
Because that's what they will use. That you consented to this because you consented to any medical procedure they wanted to do.
So it's an umbrella.
They put on there, and they sent one person after another to encourage me to have it done, but they did, and it was done in the operating room, and then it was accidentally pulled out during physical therapy afterwards.
And so did you have damage from that? I mean, besides the pain and the horror of it?
Yes, I do. That was 8 years ago now, and I'm still using a bladder control product because I'm not completely continent.
Okay, so
that's quite a thing to go through when you're in your 40s, you know?
It is. It's serious. I know Misty has, and I know you have, Beth, and I know I have read so many stories that people talk about this, and it's one of the things. Now, I've spoken with different medical people. Again, we are not medical people. We're just patients talking about different procedures and stuff that have happened to us and happened to other people that we know as patients, just trying to give general advice about maybe what a patient could ask going forward. And they've said that, again, that comes under, to be catheterized, comes under the heading or the umbrella of, well, you consented on that paper. It's not really a specific thing where it states you'll be catheterized. It's just something that they do routinely. And so we're trying to figure out ways to go about not having that done because there's so many things that have happened.
Yes, and, there are a few other dangers of it because it's essentially a one-point constraint.
Okay.
And it will prevent you from moving around, and often it interferes with your healing process of whatever the problem is that has you in the hospital a bit to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And it's both male and female patients. Just because we're females on the show here, it doesn't mean that it doesn't. And it certainly happens to males. I mean, we don't want to limit it to female patients. It's everyone that is exposed to this.
Oh, yes. I knew a hospice patient who was my neighbor several years ago, and as his kidneys were shutting down, the nurses catheterized him, and he was complaining about how much it hurt afterwards, and that man did not live another 8 hours.
Really?
He was he had cancer, and he was in a dire state. So, but doing that to a man who only had another 8 hours to live at best,
the trauma is
horrible.
Yeah, the trauma can be unbelievable. I'm sure that there are applications when catheterization is totally warranted. I mean, as not being a doctor, I don't know what they are, but I just say, and I want to get the word out too. And I know you do, Beth, and I know Misty Roberts does at Medical Patient Modesty, to ask the questions, to be able to ask the questions and have the dialogue with doctors and medical personnel to be able to have maybe options and know specifically that this is what you need. Catheterization is a big deal, and it's a big harm in some ways for people, both mentally and physically.
Yes, and especially in these days of where we have a bacteria that antibiotics won't treat.
Okay.
That if you get one of those in a hospital is a place where those tend to be a lot of more than in the community.
Right.
And you get one of those, and you can go septic and die.
Yeah, correct. You hear a lot about that sepsis and different staph infections and stuff. Hospitals are known to have, all these different things that patient can get. So you say then, we have a minute or so left, Beth, that your advice would be to have the conversation with your doctor and have advocates and witnesses with you.
Yes, and also have the same talk with your attorney.
Okay.
And I'll put together a medical advance directive, the one that your state to allow living will and durable medical power of attorney.
Okay.
And also put in it. It varies which ones of those documents you get. And put in that is something you do not want.
Okay.
Also, another document that has no legal force, but will help anybody who's legitimately trying to do the best they can for you. Is put your statement of values and what you want and don't want, like end-of-life care. And this doesn't just apply to catheters. It applies to anything and everything.
Okay. So we have 20 seconds.
See your attorney and be sure that your wishes are going to be followed.
Honored. Medical Patient Modesty website is medicalpatient.org. Misty Roberts is a 501c3 head of that. And Beth, I thank you for calling in today, for talking with me, and for being involved.
Well, thank you for interviewing me, Cindy.